Now, here is Joe Biden's signature gun sound on tape. Go.
And remember, the Constitution, the Second Amendment, was never absolute. You couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed. You couldn't go out and purchase a lot of weaponry.
That's absolutely false. And that's not even close to being true. The President of the United States does not understand the Constitution or the country. I mean, you couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed. False. You could buy whatever you wanted. There were no limitations about buying armaments in colonial America. Now, certain states and districts could prohibit, but not the federal government. In fact, the first legislation about firearms was 1934. 1934. That's a little bit after the Constitution and the Second Amendment were put into play. Mr. President, Biden knows nothing. It's like an eighth grader running the country. And I don't want to insult eighth graders. Okay, so in 1934, the National Firearms Act was passed, the NFA. And this was because of Al Capone and Babyface Nelson, all people I write about in Killing the Mob. They had machine guns, they're running around, killing a lot of people. President Roosevelt passed a thing that basically didn't ban the guns, but charged the manufacturers of machine guns an enormous amount of tax so they wouldn't make them. All right, that's what happened in 1934 off the bank robbers and the prohibition gangsters. In 1938, there was the Federal Firearms Act, the FFA, and that said that gun manufacturers and dealers had to get a license to sell, not buyers, just dealers. So the federal government would know who was selling guns. That's it, up until modern times. Now, the other side, the NRA, which had a convention in Texas over the weekend, they don't want any compromise. They don't want anything. All right, free fire zone, pardon the pun. Roll tape.
It's time to restore the American precept that each individual is accountable for his actions. And that's why we, the NRA, will never ever stop fighting for the right of the innocent and the law-abiding to defend themselves against the evil criminal element that plagues our society.
Okay, so you're not going to get any give from the NRA and the gun people. They're not going to give you anything. So both sides are dug in, and the NRA has no solution to the mass killing in Texas where 19 children were gunned down by a madman who was 18 years old himself. The NRA has no solution to that because there is no solution to it. There's no solution to it. There's 400 million guns in this country. So you're going to ban them? Okay, what happens to the 400 million? Nothing. You can't go in and confiscate them because they were legally purchased, most of them. And Congress will not pass a law that federalizes gun crimes. If you read my message, and I go through this, and the final thing is bad parenting. We have millions, tens of millions of derelict parents whose kids are running wild in drug gangs, this kid in Texas, the kid in New York, in Buffalo. Nobody's watching these kids, and they're sick. And the government not going to be able to do anything. Red flag laws, yes. And I write about that, how that should go down. So I hope you read it. But the bottom line on this is that neither side is going to give in. And even if Congress passed a law banning ARs or all, it wouldn't do a thing. The criminals don't buy guns legally. And that would only enhance the gun black market. Just like illegal drugs. They can't stop them. Not going to stop illegal guns. Because they won't do what's necessary, which is punitive measures. Okay. Right now, the Supreme Court is deliberating a case filed in Rensselaer County, New York, challenging the right to carry a pistol in New York State, all right? Concealed carry permit. That New York State, one of the most prohibitive in the guns, very hard to get a carry permit here, very hard. So 2 men sued. Supreme Court is looking at it now. That'll come out in the next week or 2. Over the Memorial Day weekend, it was unbelievable. 30 people were killed by firearms and the criminals that pull the trigger. Okay, 30. Philadelphia, 15 deaths, 15 wounded. 2 of the victims are African American, but the authorities in Philadelphia won't tell you who the perpetrators were because they were African American. All right? Same thing in Chicago. All right? 10 killed, 42 injured in Chicago over the weekend. New York City, 3 killed, 7 wounded. Baltimore, 5 killed, 2 wounded. Now, if a white shoots a black in America, that's reported instantly. If a black shoots another black or a white, not reported. Will not report it. They'll report the shooting, but you can't get the ethnicity of who the victim is or who the perpetrator is, even though the authorities know. So let me just recap. White shoots a black, bang, right there, headline. Black shoots a black, black shoots a white, nothing. Very, very little coverage of it, mention of it, no description of the perpetrator or the victim. It's just incredible. That's where we are.